What is going on, YouTube? Welcome back to Fireside Rangers. I'm your host, Eric Wilson, today joined by my co-hosts, Colin Alcaves and Anthony Rivardo. Today, we're going live. It's Rangers game day, so you should expect this at this point. Today, we're going to be previewing Game 3 of the Eastern Conference semifinals. Colin is already into the beers. Before I've even released the bet of the day, Colin Alcaves over-under 3 beers today. I'm going to go with the under. I might have a little bit of insider information.
Insider trading. If I didn't have to drive, I'd slam the over. But unfortunately, I do have places to go, people to see, and Rangers to watch.
Yeah, I mean, I think cars to drive is the biggest one there. Fireside Rangers usually does not endorse drinking and driving.
Drink responsibly, everybody.
But today we're going to be doing a little bit of a preview for Game 3. The Rangers do have a 2-0 series lead over the Carolina Hurricanes. We made a post-game recap about Game 2 yesterday, talking about Vinny Trocheck, the overtime hero, and the heroics of Igor Shesterkin. But we move on. Games in the past. Time to focus on what's coming ahead of us. In about an hour and a half is Game 3 in Carolina, Rangers on the road. So here we go. Let's get into it. I don't know what's going on with Colin's screen, but there he is. But Tony, how are you doing today, my friend?
I am doing phenomenal. I'm getting very excited for this game in a little bit over an hour and a half. And listen, man, it's been a fun series so far, but this is where things can change. You know, it's pivotal right now to pick up some wins here. They got to split on the road in Carolina with these 2 games coming up. I think that's super important to go home to MSG with at least one extra win in pocket. So tonight's a big matchup, and I'm really excited for it. And I'm hoping that my boy Peter Laviolette, Vincent Trocheck, hoping my guys pull through tonight.
And I think they will. It's Vinny T and it's Igor. All the boys, they're showing up to play. We are on the road. But, you know, as Philip asks, are we stealing both or splitting one in their barn, a.k.a. MSG South? I would like to think that we would win at least one. I know Carolina's pretty dominant at home, but the Rangers have also been dominant on the road. So is there a possibility that we could potentially win both of these road games and sweep for the second time? Yeah, it's definitely there, but I'd be happy with at least just a split. You know, if Carolina comes back and ties this 2-2, I'll lose my mind there. But Colin, how are you doing today?
I'm good. I can't believe you just said the S word.
I said it in the first round, so it doesn't matter.
Did you? Okay.
It's proven non-jinx.
Who was it? It was Philip that asked the question?
Yeah.
Yeah, to answer Philip's question, gotta get one here. I'm welcome to the idea of both, but the baseline for me is you gotta get one here. Can't have this series come back to MSG tied 2-2. A lot of momentum going their way. They played us close at home, especially in that last one, as we all know, a double overtime game. So to be able to go to their barn where they're pumping in noise because they can't make enough of their own. I know a lot of fans going there, saying screw the rules. New Yorkers are going to take it over anyway. So we got to take advantage of that and make sure that we get at least one of these 2 down there.
Yeah, I mean, I will say the Carolina Hurricanes at their stadium, the towels that they have set up for the fans, they say make them hear us on it.
They're practically begging at this point.
They are begging, and of course we will hear you because you praise yourselves on being the loudest stadium in the NHL, but you also pump stadium noise into, like, you have to fake it compared to the Rangers. Allegedly, nothing's proven, but I'm a believer in the conspiracy, and I always will be because it's the Carolina Hurricanes, of course. Chris does bring up the fact that the Canes might be scared switching their goalies. Anderson hasn't looked that bad. I saw the official reasoning for why Anderson isn't playing tonight is because they wanted to give him rest, which sounds a little bit weird. If the Rangers were ever down 2-0 in a series, I don't think we'd ever give Shesterkin rest. That just doesn't sound right. I know there is some history with the Rangers and backup goalies, especially when we're up 2-0 in a series. But Tony, as you texted me earlier, any previous playoff series in the past doesn't count because they never had your father, Peter Laviolette, coaching the team. But I don't know. I'm not nervous. Hopefully the Rangers just take this young goalie and just light him up. What is it, Kochetkov? Is that how you say it?
Yeah. I was going to say, we played him before, too. Last time we played them, he was in net because we were originally facing off against Ronta, and he went in. And he was playing well, and then he got lit up like a Christmas tree. So hopefully something similar will happen, and we can put a bunch of goals in on him. I know he hasn't had the strongest year, so we got to take advantage of that. He's not a bad goalie by any means. But there's a reason that Freddie Anderson is the starter. I'll put it that way. So this is definitely a winnable game.
There's an opportunity at stake. I mean, Tony, how are you feeling? Do you think Carolina's scared? Is that why they're making the switch?
Yeah, I think that is why, because I think it's really weird that they would make this switch going into game 3 while down 2 games in the series. Maybe in game 4, if you stole one, right? Like if it was a 2-1 series and you're going into the 4th game and now you want to give rest to your goalie, then you put in the second goalie, that makes more sense. Even still, it doesn't really make sense. I don't think that you do this unless you're nervous and you feel like your back is against the wall and you have to make a change in order to spark something. And that feels to me like what the Hurricanes are trying to do. So I hope that it comes back to bite them. I hope that it's the reason we go up 3-0 and, have the driver's seat in the series. But I guess we'll see. Maybe it could be a spark plug for them. Maybe putting in the backup is going to, and I'm calling him a backup because there's no way I'm going to attempt to say that name, but maybe putting in the backup will give them a spark plug. But I hope not. I think this is a major risk that Carolina's taking, and I'm very confident that Panarin and the boys are going to take advantage.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to think, looking at recent Rangers history through the prime of Lundqvist and now the prime of Shesterkin. I can't remember ever a single time that the Rangers started a playoff game without their starting goaltender. Even in 2016, 2017, when we were a fringe playoff team, first round exit every year, Lundqvist always started, no matter how many times we were down in a series. We never were just let's switch it up and put in a backup. Now with Igor, the last couple of years that we've been making the playoffs, he's started every single one, and he's done phenomenal, of course. But I don't really blame Anderson for either of their losses. Both of them were 4-3 wins for the Rangers, but they were close matchups. It wasn't like they lost 10-0. But I don't know. They're handing us an opportunity, and the Rangers better take it, because if we get goalied like we always get goalied, I'll absolutely lose my mind. But like you said, Anthony, Panarin and the boys, Trocheck, Igor, they'll lock it down, and we got this all under control.
We'll help Anderson out when we give him the entire offseason. The rest will just have it come a little bit sooner than he thought.
Of course.
He also didn't he not play most of the season?
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure he was injured. He had an injury involving blood clots, and so he missed a lot of the regular season. So I wouldn't understand, for a guy who barely played most of the regular season, why all of a sudden now he needs rest. So I kind of agree with Tony here that this is a nervous thing, that they're trying to make a change. And sometimes, it can light a fire under a team, as we saw with the New Jersey Devils, unfortunately. But I don't think that this is the same team. Obviously, I think that Kochekov's capable, but I think that he lets up some soft goals every once in a while. I think if the team just sticks to their identity and what they're doing, I think they got away from it a little bit last game, and it was more of a sloppy game as opposed to the first game and most of the first round where the defense was stout. I think if they can get back to their identity, that this should be no problem for us.
Yeah, hopefully. We'll see. As Roseanne says, she likes my hat. Thank you. Custom made, Fireside Rangers. Made some for the boys, just came in the mail today, so the rest of them will be wearing it soon. And who knows, maybe if everyone likes them, maybe, just maybe, there'll be a shop someday. Not yet, but we'll get there. Something we got to talk about.
I can't wait to get mine, and I'm definitely looking forward to making them available to the public. We'll definitely make that happen soon enough, and drop something in the chat if you want one. Let us know.
Yeah, please let us know, because I just got bored and custom made these. But hats, shirts. Who wants a Ryan Strome shirt? We'll make them. An anti-Strome one. There's definitely got to be a shirt about Tony's love.
I get a Strome with a big X.
Would go hard, but that sounds like a summer project. So let us know in the comments if you guys want it. Yeah, I like the way that Chris puts it here. One game at a time, win tonight, then go for the kill. It's kind of like what I said in, I think it was the last live stream when it was just me and Colin, where people keep saying the Rangers are 6-0 in the playoffs. But I don't really look at it that way. I think we went 4-0 against the Capitals, and then we had a week off, and then the clock kind of resets. Because those 4 wins against the Capitals are entirely different than anything we're doing against the Hurricanes. One, like I just said, the time in between. And now it's just a different series against a different team. And so, no, I don't really consider the Rangers 6-0. Right now, I consider us to be 2-0 against the Carolina Hurricanes. Next up, try to go 3-0 and then 4-0. It's just a race to 4. I mean, overall, it's a race to 16. But, one series at a time, one game at a time. That's the way that I look at it personally. And then I know, Colin, you already gave your thoughts, but like, Tony, just what are you like more of a fan of? Being like, oh, the Rangers are on a 6-game win streak right now, plus like 7 or 8 from whatever we ended the regular season with, or are you just one game at a time type of guy?
I think it's one game at a time. I think that when you're looking at the way that the Rangers have played and, one of the ways that they've combated adversity, which is something that I've mentioned all season long, I've been very high praise all season long for Peter Laviolette and the way that whenever this team faces some sort of adversity, he finds a way to maybe make one change or maybe make an adjustment to the time on ice for a certain player. He's always found a solution. So I think it is a one game at a time thing. And right now it's not broke, so he's not fixing anything. But if something comes up, I trust Laviolette to make the adjustment and to fix things for the team. I know that kind of could open up the can of worms on the Matt Rempe situation. And is that the thing that needs altering? Is that the adjustment that needs to be made? It looks like he's playing tonight. It looks like there's not going to be an adjustment, which is contrary to what we were thinking a few days ago when we chatted. We said that, it kind of looks like it's heading toward Matt Rempe being pulled from the lineup, but looks like he's going to play tonight. But again, I think it's game by game, and Laviolette is taking it game by game, and I think that's the way that you have to do it. Rangers are rolling, and a lot of it just because they have a really good strategy in place, and they're being very careful to make the proper moves on a game by game basis to put themselves in position to win.
Yeah, I kind of like the moves that Laviolette's doing. I don't know if it's intentional or not, but just based on who Rempe has been skating with in practice and him, staying on extra with the extra players, it's making us question whether or not him or Hedel is going to be in the lineup. So that sure as well is also making Carolina question what the Rangers lineup is going to be. And we obviously never find out until right before the game happens. So it could be intentional. It could just be him experimenting, but there could be some mind games going on with Carolina, not knowing if they're going to have to face Rempe or shut down an offensive guy like Filip Hedel. I think that's just something that just popped in my mind. That could be an interesting approach from Laviolette, just to add on to the
mental
wonderful
chess.
that he's done.
Mental chess.
Mental chess. Never let them know if they're going to have to stop Rempe or not, or really just defend the penalties that Rempe takes. But we'll see moving forward. Hopefully he has a good game. Sure, Trouba was worse last game, in my opinion. Trouba, what did I say in yesterday's episode where someone tweeted during game 2, Trouba made 20 good plays, 20 terrible plays, and so there was a third thing that I don't remember.
An attempted murder?
And an attempted murder. That was it. So I don't know. But here's something I got to bring up from Philip. He says they have a very hard arena to play in, and they even stopped selling Rangers fans tickets. They go out of their way to stop us from invading. But see, they did that in 2022, but we still invaded anyway. And I think there's a bunch of people on Twitter that were just like, hey, Rangers fans, I live in North Carolina. If you want a ticket, use my address. Here it is. It's like, it's MSG South. We'll be fine. They'll play their audience crowd noise on their speakers, and there'll surely be a lot of Carolina fans there. But trust me, there will be a lot of Rangers fans there tonight. And I'm not worried about playing on the road. I've seen what we've done on the road all season long. It's been nothing short of phenomenal. And, the only hard part is that I won't get to hear a horn play after every Rangers goal, but the crowd will be loud enough that I'll be happy. So no, I'm not worried about playing in Carolina. It might be a hard arena to play in for other teams, but not for the Rangers. And that's just my take on it.
Yeah, I agree with you here. I know a lot of people who are actually going to this game. As long as you know somebody in North Carolina, it's not too hard to get tickets. I know I was looking at going down. I'm still looking at going down potentially for Game 4 here. But yeah, no, I mean, I think you said it best. A lot of people kind of moved down south from New York specifically. And I think North Carolina is kind of a hot ground, especially for Rangers fans. I feel like we traveled well there last year. So, I'm not too worried about it. The Rangers are a very good road team. Carolina is a phenomenal home team, though. I will say their home record is much better. So that definitely is something to keep an eye out for.
Yeah, but they were also a phenomenal power play and penalty kill team. And look where that's got them.
True.
Right. Sorry to cut you off, but
no, you're right. I mean, you make a valid point in the fact that, just because they did well at home in other points of the season doesn't mean they're going to do well now. And I couldn't agree more.
They're what is it? 4-3 in the playoffs right now.
That's not too great. And I mean, if we look back to it, the last time we played in Carolina, what was it? A 7-3, 7-2?
I don't remember.
That was the last playoff game when Heedle scored in the middle of them, saying, "Oh, Carolina gets one right here." Never mind. The last time we played them in a Game 7 in Carolina, we beat the brakes off of them. So that's what they got to think about. The last time they played us in the playoffs, that's what it was. So it's obviously a welcome thought for us and nightmares for them, and hopefully we can, cause them a couple more nightmares going forward.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we'll see. Tony, I think I want to hear your opinion on this comment from Chris. This team's different. Troach saying Jonathan Quick was the only one who spoke after the first overtime. Wheeler in the room after the game. In between overtime periods during game 2, like you wouldn't expect Jonathan Quick to be the most vocal guy in the locker room, especially him and then Blake Wheeler of all people being there. Like, what does that mean to you? Like, what is Quick doing? I mean, good stuff, obviously, though.
Yeah, when Trocheck said that, the full context is what he said is that everybody else on the team was way too tired to speak. So Jonathan Quick pretty much had to stand up. Like nobody else, everybody else was like sitting at their lockers, gasping for air, basically, after the first overtime period. And Jonathan Quick stood up because obviously he wasn't playing. He's not gassed. He was the vocal one in the locker room. So I think that was probably more just he was the only one ready and able to cheer up the team and get them back locked in. But also, yeah, somebody probably could have stepped up. But I think that's cool, man. Jonathan Quick standing up there. And well, that's a good question. That is a good question. But
what was Laviolette doing? Why is Laviolette gassed?
I also just think the team was like really locked in, and so I don't think that it's like anything to say if Trouba should have stepped up. It's nothing like that. I just think they were locked in and they were tired after that first overtime. I mean, that was a really hard-fought game, so I can't blame them.
I also think – oh, my bad, Eric. You go.
No, I was going to make a joke really quick. I was going to say, if I was in the locker room and I'm Peter Laviolette, I would have just turned on the speaker, played On Site by Kanye West, let them sit there for like 20 minutes, and then they'd be ready to go, and we would have scored a lot quicker. But go ahead, Colin.
I was going to say, I also think that – a part of the reason why Wheeler's in the room, Wheeler's talking, and Quick is talking, whatever. Those are the veterans. Those are the guys who have been there. They've been in these moments. They know what to say to get the team fired up and light that spark under them. I think that's a big part of, like, the larger part of these acquisitions. Obviously, they both played well for us all year. I mean, Wheeler got hurt mid-year, but Quick was great for us all year. But you get them not only just for their, like, what they bring to the team, but also for their experience and their knowledge, especially in these moments. Quick especially. I mean, he's been a constant postseasons. He's a 3-time Cup winner, so he knows what it takes. He knows what you got to say, and he knows what fires up a group. And I mean, it clearly worked because they went out there and they got it done. So whatever it takes. I mean, I'm happy to have these guys here, even if they're not contributing to the wins. I mean, just their presence alone is enough to keep this team going and enough to light the fire under them.
Yeah, it's valid. I will say, like, looking back at the footage, you will notice that after the overtime goal happened when Trocheck scored, the last 2 players to hop off the bench were big-ass Matt Rempe and old-ass Jonathan Quick. So everyone else, like, flew off the bench, and you see Rempe just, like trying to get
lumber over.
which was kind of funny. But yeah, this is an interesting thing here from Michael. He thinks there's a feeling amongst the Canes that Rod Brindamore is gone, especially if they lose. There's a pressure to win there, and I think they're feeling it. I mean, it'd be interesting to see Carolina fire their head coach. I don't think it would happen, but I wouldn't be shocked by it either, where they've been a Cup contender for pretty much the last, 4 straight years, and they've done absolutely nothing with it. And, I don't think their core is the problem. They perform phenomenally, but at the end of the day, someone's got to be to blame. And, Brindamore is kind of like the face of the franchise at the moment. But if they lose this year, with the year that they've had and the trade deadline where they threw everything in for Jake Gensel, wouldn't be shocked if Brindamore bit the bullet right there. But Colin, I know you very in-depth on coaches and stuff. I don't know how you feel about it.
So for this, it wouldn't be so much as a firing as it would be he's on the deal. They were talking contract extensions, and presumably they were close, and then all of a sudden they weren't, and then they stopped talking, and now they've come back together. So it's more of if Brindamore wants to stay, if he thinks that they can do it, if they want to bring him back for the right price. So I think he's also kind of weighing his options here. If they can get it done, if they can't get it done with this team, then maybe he jumps ship, or maybe they're a little bit more willing to part ways with him. It wouldn't be a firing of any kind just because of the reputation that he has there, and obviously he's a great bench boss, and he's done a lot of good with that franchise. But I think it's more of where it lands with the money at this point. Like if they flame out this year, his price goes way down, and there's nothing he can do about it. And then if he doesn't like that, then maybe he leaves. And I think that's a big part of it. It's huge for the negotiations, and I think that's why they kind of feel like it's a do or die year, especially him. If he wants to get that bag in Carolina, he has to keep winning. So hopefully we make sure that he's broke.
Yeah, I mean, like Chris said here, don't know why the team would make the contract public during a playoff run. Now, like that, it sounded so weird. Like right before the series started, when the breaking news I hear about the Hurricanes isn't like they're getting a player back from injury. It's that they've had like a falling out between contract negotiations between the coach and the organization. Like, I don't know. It just seems weird. And for a team that's been so successful, it really does make you wonder. Now, Tony, I know like you're not like an expert on like Carolina's like history and everything, but with everything that you just heard me and Colin say, like, and I know you're big into like football and coaches, GMs and everything. What's your take on it? Like Rod Brindamore, coach of Carolina, do you think he might be done if this is over?
It's kind of like asking me, do I think Mike McCarthy of the Dallas Cowboys is going to be fired if they don't make it past the first round of playoffs next year? It's a similar conundrum, like to relate it to how you were saying, I know a lot about football. That would be basically the question mark there. And we've seen this I think this is honestly more common in basketball than in football. In football, we could sometimes see situations where a team doesn't make it far enough into the postseason, which results in the head coach getting fired, but it's a little bit more rare. In basketball, though, it happens a lot. I forget who it was. I think it was either the Raptors or Trailblazers head coach a few years ago, won coach of the year and got fired because his team didn't make it past the first round of the playoffs, but they did great in the regular season. So it's a little bit different in basketball and hockey in these series postseasons rather than the NFL. It's, single elimination, one game, you're done. When you're not winning series, that's when the spotlight really shines on the head coach, I think, because it's not like you have one game that you get outcoached in football or outplayed in one game. You have a series, and a lot of the series relies on adjustments and making proper changes game to game. Each team is going to game plan for each game, and if something doesn't go right, the head coach has to make a change and adjust for the next game. That's the difference in series versus single elimination, and that's why I think head coaches get so much more blame for postseason losses than they do in maybe some other sports, again, like football. But that's kind of what I would say is that's really why I like Peter Laviolette so much, because what we've seen, especially in that first round, the sweep, every game he had a game plan and the Rangers executed. The reason that I really didn't like Gerard Gallant so much is because it felt like the Devils made an adjustment last year and Gallant didn't, and ultimately sunk that series. So I do think that the postseason is a great way to put the spotlight on your head coach and evaluate how high quality or low quality he truly is. It's where true colors shine through. So it wouldn't shock me if, the Rangers wind up sweeping the Canes. I mean, if something like that were to happen, yeah, Carolina might go ahead and fire their head coach as a result. But like I said, I think that the postseason in hockey series, best of 7 series, is a really good time to kind of show the true colors of a coach.
Yeah, that's what I've always said. Like, I like the NFL, but I'm not as big of a fan as you, Tony. But like the one critique I've always had is just that in hockey and in basketball and baseball, you have these best of 7 series where it's not determined by just one game. In football, you have one bad performance, you don't win the Super Bowl. But in hockey, you could have one bad performance, but still win the series because it's a perfect overall showing of who is the better team. I know football is a lot different, where if you play a 7-game series, someone's going to die. But that's why I've always liked the structure of a 7-game series more. But, and then at the end of the day, just looking at it, though, the Rangers are 6-0. So if the NHL was like structured like football playoffs, we would have like won the Super Bowl plus more by winning 6 straight. That's all I'm saying. But no, I don't remember what I was about to say. I got so distracted by that. Oh no, I remember what it was. The Toronto Maple Leafs is like a good comparison to this Carolina situation, but just much more vocal, where the Maple Leafs are a team that have a really, really good core, but haven't made it that far into the playoffs over the last couple of years. And they made it very public this year. And they said, if the Maple Leafs do not make it past this first round while being down 3-1 of the series, it's the end for this current core. And, they eventually lost in a game 7. And the first thing they do is fire their head coach a few hours ago, Sheldon Keefe, no longer the coach of the Toronto Maple Leafs. So I could see that being like a similar situation going on in Carolina, where they're like, if we don't go all the way this year, Brind'Amour, you're done, you're not coming back. But we'll see. Luckily, we don't have to have that problem with Laviolette, as you perfectly said, Tony. Laviolette is the GOAT. He makes a lot of changes. Colin is officially on beer number 2.
Taking a little bit slower today.
Yeah, a little bit slower. See, everyone just keeps asking us the same questions. They're like, where is Hedl? We've been over it a million times. We don't want to see Philip Hedl play right now. Keep Rempe in. He's the GOAT. But while we wait, first of all, to everyone watching, please, any questions, anything you want us to talk about, drop it in the comment section below. We'd be more than happy to pull up on screen.
Hit the like button.
And hit the like button and subscribe and ring that bell. But we can't talk about Philip Hedl possibly being in the lineup for over an hour when we know he's not really going to be there. So start filling up that comment section Tony.
I have a topic of conversation that I could bring up. So
do it.
I got you. All right. I got this message in my Twitter mentions today. So I tweeted the other day about how remarkable the Rangers have been on the PK and just on special teams in general. And basically said Hurricanes penalty kill ranked first in the NHL during the regular season. Rangers have converted 4 of their 9 power play opportunities, 44% so far. It's been incredible. They've killed every single penalty that they've given up so far. 0 for 10 on the power play are the Carolina Hurricanes. And somebody responded to me. He's Duke football fan. So let me just go ahead and point this out. Giants fans who are listening, in this guy's bio, he has Daniel Jones and a Jamison Crowder stan. So can't really trust too much of his credibility, but figured we'd get your guys' take on his comment anyway. He said, "This has nothing to do with the Rangers and everything to do with the most poorly structured PK I've seen in my life. All 4 players in one corner, 3 open guys in the slot, every single power play. Islanders also had success against this unit." So I'm wondering how you guys feel about that comment, what your take is. Is Carolina just fumbling? Is maybe this ties into the coach conversation we were just having? Are they really screwing up the PK? Is this the worst constructed PK that you've ever seen, like Duke football fans said? Or do you think that this really is a result of the Rangers playing some damn good hockey, like I believe?
I mean, it's crazy to think that the worst constructed PK could have finished, what was it, second in the NHL?
First.
PK was first, yeah.
Yeah, wild. What a wild take. I mean, I know that the Islanders did well, and believe it or not, the only time I'll ever hype up the Islanders, they have 3 good players, and when you put them all on the ice at the same time, they might score every once in a while. And even when you take away a player from the other team, they might score. I don't think it has anything to do with how it's constructed. I think it has everything to do with the power play and the puck movement. I think that it's just been elite from the Rangers, and to try and take away from the Rangers is just absurd, and put this on them, especially having the first best penalty kill, shows that he's a Daniel Jones stan.
Yeah, I mean, I want to say Smokey kind of took the words out of my mouth here. Jesper Fast and Brett Pesce got hurt in the last games of the regular season, so it isn't the same PK that eventually went first overall. I love Jesper Fast, former Ranger. He was a penalty kill miracle worker for us. He's a little old now. So, I'll say the fact that the Hurricanes aren't 100% healthy at this very moment surely plays a factor. I'd be an idiot if I said it didn't. But at the end of the day, when you look at Carolina's defense and their defensive forwards, it's it's world class. Honestly, you know, I got to give them credit when credit is due. So the fact that they're still not like beating the Rangers, you know, they had like I don't know. The Rangers are just phenomenal at this very point in time. I think it's a combination of the fact that they're injured as well as our offense is cooking. The top six in particular, which pretty much every single member of the top six is on at least one power play unit. I think Lafreniere and Roslovic are on the second. The other four are on the first. And that power play is now at 40% after game 2, but that's still a phenomenal number right then and there. And I know the top six is combined for a total of 46 points in the first 6 games of the postseason. So it's just a combination of them being a little injured, a little rusty, and then us just being at the top of our game at the perfect place and time, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a good way to put it. Brett Pesce is one of their best defenders, so that's true that we can't discount his loss on this team. He got hurt against the Islanders in that first round, and their defense has really struggled without him. Obviously, Tony DeAngelo has to step up in his role, and he is nowhere near the defender that Pesce is. He's just a literal traffic cone that scores a goal every once in a while. If you remember from the Rangers, he was basically just another forward out there. He could not play defense for the life of him. So to go from Brett Pesce, who's a shutdown guy, to Tony DeAngelo, who just is known for running his mouth, both on and off the ice with fans and with players, and just a head case overall, I think that's a major downgrade. I think that is something that needs to be paid attention to, and something that had slipped my mind until now. So it was a great point by whoever it was that brought that up. I think it was Smokey.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a phenomenal point. Matt here asks, did you see DeAngelo chirping at Miller due to such a clown? I'm like, look, man, I don't want to like get into it, but like it's funny that DeAngelo is going after Miller, right? Like, come on, like go after Rempe if you want to be a little big boy. I hate Tony DeAngelo. I explained the whole lore to Tony. I think what was it, yesterday or earlier today? Like, I hate Tony DeAngelo, and it's such a shame because it's a very Italian name. But he might. I'm just, if you have children in the room, mute your TVs. He's just like the biggest piece of shit in the entire NHL. And I'm just over him. Like, he fought our goalie, got waived, and then now he doesn't learn his lesson. So that's my Tony DeAngelo rant. I don't know if anyone has anything else to say.
No, I mean, he is just a piece of shit. I mean, he literally was going to be a top 5 pick. Got in trouble in the minors, got suspended multiple times for abusing refs and verbally abusing other players, and not just like your normal chirping and like saying you look funnier and stuff like that, like racist stuff, and like he got so many last chances, and the fact that he's still in the league is honestly crazy to me. I'm
shocked he's still an NHL player.
He's just not even good. Like, he's just not good at like, he should just switch to forward at this point, because he's such a bad defenseman, and all he does is he can put up points. He can he's a good quarterback for a power play, but that's about it. I think that's where his usability kind of is done. So for him to be running his mouth after not even being like, he was a scratch in the first round. The only reason he's here is because somebody got hurt. So how are you even you have no leg to stand on? You wouldn't be playing if Brett Pesce didn't literally die in the first round. So how are you going to come up and talk smack? All you got to say is you wouldn't be here. You shouldn't be here. You're not good enough to be here. And that's that. Well, that's my take on it. I can't stand that dude. And he's totally villainized himself this series. So I wouldn't mind seeing Miller lay him out.
Sorry, Colin, you referenced a bad defensive player, so I had to bring up the puck.
Here we go. You talking about all-star Mark Stahl?
All-star material, Mark Stahl, the worst Ranger of all time.
That's the guy who knows how to get it done.
Yeah, he knows how to cost us goals just like Ryan Strome did.
Bringing out all the names.
Well, I mean, there's only a select few Rangers that I'll like hate forever. Tony DeAngelo, Mark Stahl, Ryan Strome, Dylan McElrath.
I don't like Kravtsov or Elias Anderson. They make me angry.
They make us very angry. Tony, you remember Vitaly Kravtsov. Unfortunately, that's a name that we made quite a few videos about, and he panned out to be absolutely nothing.
All these guys are so young, but so just entitled. They walked in here like they deserved the spots. But anyway, back to current day Rangers. Screw the past. We're in the present now. We're in the second round. 2 games up.
Speaking of current Rangers, here's a fun discussion from Technic. If the Rangers win the Cup, who gets their jerseys retired?
I mean, Kreider's brainer. I think he gets retired regardless.
I was going to say Kreider is the only one I think would be a lock.
Probably Panarin. Panarin is able to, with the season that he's having, and even the seasons that he's had in the past, he hasn't had a bad season. He's just, he's disappointed in the playoffs a little bit, but he's been just a phenomenal Ranger these past few years, ever since he signed. So if he was to bring the Cup back to the streets of New York, I think it's a no-brainer that he gets his number retired due to the sheer number of points and records now that he probably holds for single-season things. Like, he's up there in terms of, like, goals in the season, points in the season, assists in the season. I know he is. It's just unfathomable what he's doing. So, he's got to be in the conversation.
Yes, in the conversation, yes, but I don't think he's a lock. I think the only lock on the entire roster as of right now is Chris Kreider.
You think even if they win, he won't get it?
Even if we win the Cup this year, I don't think it's enough to get Panarin's jersey retired. Kreider, definitely, because he's played for over a decade, but like Panarin, Igor, Fox, I don't think they're locks just yet. I'm sure by the time they're ready to retire, they will be, especially those 3, Igor, Panarin, Fox. But just this 1 year, even with the Cup, I don't know. Like, if a team
what about
wins,
Mika?
That I don't know. I don't think he's done enough. We ragged on him all. He's come on out these last few years. But I just don't think he has enough to warrant it. Obviously, when it's all said and done, he might. I think for this year, it would make Panarin by far. I think it would make him a lock. I think Fox, is still so young, so he'll get it. And then Igor will get it too. He also still have a lot of time left to play. But for both of them, they're still so early in their careers. Whereas Panarin has done, I feel like, a lot more in this short time that he's been here. Just for what the team has needed, he's been that guy. Whether it's a setup guy or this year he's the all-around guy, or his first year he was a Hart candidate. Like, I don't get how he can go. We're talking about how he deserved to be in the Hart this year, how he should have been a Hart candidate his first year, and even in his second year, he wasn't like bad. Like, he still had every year he's had over 90 points. I think over 92 was like the lowest he's had. So like, I don't know. I think he'd be like a guarantee, especially if he brings a Cup back to New York. Mika, Fox, and Igor, there's a lot of time left. They'd have to go. I don't know if they have to win another one, but they have to keep putting up the numbers that they're putting up. But that's
I don't know. I'm like the biggest Panarin fan in the world, but like, he's only played 5 seasons with us so far. And sure, like, all of the seasons have been like 90-point scoring seasons, but we live in a world where a lot of different players score 90-point seasons, and a Cup will definitely help his odds. But like, I might just sit here and just say like no to Panarin for now. Like, he would have to, and for me to have Panarin get his jersey retired, which is like a big thing, you would need to win the Cup this year, or at least once in his time with the Rangers, and then just play here until the end of his career. The only reason I'm saying Kreider is a lock is because he's been here for 12 years now, I think. No, 10 years. Like, over a decade, though. And, like, he's, like, the face of the Rangers, basically, and a Cup would definitely lock him in. Again, Fox, Igor, they have more time and everything, but it's really just becoming, like, the heart and soul of the Rangers for many, many years. Like, look at Lundqvist. He never won a Cup, but his jersey got retired immediately because he carried us for so long. So,
the backbone of the damn team. And that's what Panarin has been. I mean, Igor too. But that's what has Panarin not been the backbone of this team since 2019, 2020?
I mean, yes, but you could also say that, like, Zuccarello was the backbone of the team for, like the offensive backbone of the team for, like, the mid-2010s.
No way. He wasn't even close to the same type of player. I'm going to pull up his stats now.
I mean, I know. You don't have to pull up his stats. I know he didn't have as many major point seasons, but I'm just saying, like, the term that you use, like, backbone of the team, like, you think of iconic players from that time. I think of Matt Zuccarello, Derek Stepan, Derek Brassard, And Kreider's still here. No one else isn't.
I mean, those are all key cogs. I wouldn't say they're backbones. So the guys that are backbones of those teams were like the Ryan McDonoughs, I'm not saying he's going to get his jersey retired because he didn't play long enough for us really to warrant that. But like Ryan McDonough, Dan Girardi, Mark Stahl, even though you hate to say it, Hank, they didn't really have the offense that they needed. I mean, you could try and argue Rick Nash, but I disagree with that one. Injury problem.
How about this? This is the way that I'll put it. You just named all of those players that were like really, really good from that point in Rangers history. The only one that is still in contention to having their jersey retired is Kreider. McDonough, no. Girardi, no. Nash, no. Broussard, no. So it's like, yes, right now the Rangers have a lot of really good players, but I don't want to just sit here and say that every single one of them deserves to have their jersey retired. It's a really special thing. And like, I'm shocked that in my lifetime, as young as I am, I already got to see one happen with Lundqvist. And I don't know, I might just be like very like conservative about it, where I just like, I don't want to hand out jerseys. I'd be more than happy to see Panarin get his jersey retired. I just think I need to see a little bit more in the next couple of years.
All right, I also think an underrated talking point that I'm surprised hasn't been brought up yet, it's the number 10. It's a little bit tough to retire the number 10. Such an iconic number in sports.
That is true. It's my favorite number. It's Panarin. Gaborik had it. Gaborik was pretty good for the Rangers.
It's a tough number to retire, though. It's one that they could do the thing where like they only give the number to certain talents. A lot of sports teams like to do that. And know it's the really iconic Dallas Cowboys number 88. They only give that to the wide receiver if they're like in contention for being one of the best in the NFL, but they've passed that on. But it's only worn by the team's best receiver. It could be something like that.
That's like how number 66 is in the NHL. Like Wayne Gretzky's 99 is retired throughout the entire league, but Mario Lemieux, his number 66, is not retired throughout the league, but I think currently there's no one has it, right? I think Josh Hosang was the last one to wear it for the Islanders, and then he was like a bum and got sent down. And I don't think anyone is currently number 66, so that could be a thing. And like just for the Rangers, just no one wears it.
Could be. We've seen it before with other teams, but
I got a stat I want to just real quick.
Okay. All right, I'm about to get some names. Here we go.
So I'm going to name a couple players. They're going to have their jerseys retired, and I'm going to tell you how many 90-point seasons they had with the Rangers.
Okay, but before I receive this beatdown, let's also consider the fact that most of the players that you're about to say played in a time where having a 90-point season wasn't really a common occurrence.
You just said it was a common occurrence, and everybody's doing it now, though. You said that like 5 minutes ago.
No, right now it is, yeah, but I'm assuming you're going to name players from like years past.
I'm going to name Messier, who has his name in the rafters. I'm going to say Rattel. I'm going to say Gilbert. I'm going to say, Gretzky has his name retired league-wide, obviously. Hadfield, Leach, all these guys, their jerseys retired. Panarin has more 90-point seasons than all of them in a short time here. He hasn't even been here. Like, they all played for extended periods of time here. Panarin's been here for 5 years. He's done it 4 times, and the 1 year he didn't was a shortened COVID season where he was on pace for 116.
I hate the fact that I'm sitting here going anti-Panarin right now because I would love to see it happen. I'm just thinking realistically. I'm thinking realistically here, but like, all right, tell me this: how many 90-point seasons has Panarin had? Like
4.
4. And in those years, how many other players also hit 90-plus points?
That one would be a tough one.
And then go back to like Messier and Leach. When they hit 90 points, how many hit it then?
But I'm saying nobody's done it for the Rangers.
The number of players that did it was a lot less than it happens now. This year, there was probably like 10-plus players that hit 90-plus points.
Like there's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 players in our long time of existing. There's 10 players who've hit 90 points. And
we've been historically bad. We've been around for over 100 years. No, not yet. Close to it, though.
But I'm saying that's a lot of points. And to be the first to have done it in a long time since some of the greats, if he was to bring a cup back, I'd say it argues. Messier did it with the Rangers. He only won 1 cup with the Rangers, and yet he's got his name up there. He did it 3 times. I think it's the same argument. If a cup,
look, I'm willing to just end the argument and say that we both just hope that he gets it one day, because I love Panarin and I hate sitting here advocating against him.
We'll see. They got to win this cup first. Let's talk about how they win the cup. Let's talk about how they win tonight.
First things first.
No, I thought there would be a little bit more me and Colin arguments ever since we became co-hosts, but that was the first.
A long time.
Yeah, when we never ever reach an agreement.
Well, I'll say I think tonight the key to winning it's going to be the same key that I've had for the first two games. Game 3, it's going to be the power play. They can continue to convert those chances. They can continue to find ways to score on the power play. I mean, the streak that Vincent Trocheck is on right now is actually absurd. Like, of his power play, what is it? 5 games in a row? Yeah. Well, 5 games in a row with a goal ties the franchise record, but I think they've all come on the power play. I have to double check that. I know I wrote that article yesterday. I've already forgotten.
4 of the 5 have come on the power play.
4 of the 5, yeah. But he's been on the power play though. I think he's had a point on it in like 7 of his 10 in the postseason have come on the power play. Like, what he's doing on the power play is just insane.
I know I mentioned this in a previous episode as well, or maybe another live, but just what they've done with him and his position on the power play is such a big reason for the success of it. Is instead of forcing the Mika one-timer or the Panarin shot on the right side, which I love, or the Fox shot for a Kreider tip, they've really started using that bumper guy for give and goes, and you've seen it a lot where Mika will kind of rotate down. They've done a little give and go where he just taps out in front, or the other night he had like a spinning backhand off the rebound, or he's just always there to kind of clean up the ones that Kreider doesn't get, or the ones he doesn't tip in on the side. So that 2 bodies in front is so just like it's integral for this power play, and the way that he's kind of handled himself and his increased role on this power play is the reason for success. I'm not going to say it's just him. Obviously, it's the brilliant passing of all the beautiful minds around him, but I feel like he's done such a good job, and the whole team has done such a good job at kind of switching from like a one-dimensional team to now they're doing a behind-the-back pass to Kreider to a behind-the-back pass to Mika, or the give and go from Mika to Trocheck, and then they go back to the classics of the tip from Kreider or the one-timer. Like they have so many different ways they can beat you now, as opposed to it just used to be. I mean, at first Mika's one-timer was unstoppable. Then goalies really started leaning that way, and if you see it, they really do fully send their body over to stop the short side. So now you started seeing the pass from Mika to Kreider for the tip-in on those, and then they started clogging the lanes there. So like they really started adjusting to take away all the things that the Rangers were doing, and now they're incorporating new things while also still doing some of the old. I think it's just a perfect combination, and it really makes everybody out there a threat at all times, as opposed to being just a one-dimensional power play.
And that's where I'm going to jump in and say, Peter Laviolette. That's the big difference. Like, he's adjusted this team, the way that they attack the power play, just the way that they play is completely different. You mentioned one-dimensional. I remember Eric and I, when we were doing those shows in the early stages of Fireside Rangers, I kept criticizing how one-dimensional the Rangers would get in some of those games. Even in some games that they would win, they felt so one-dimensional, and they were just scraping on by because they had talent, but they weren't really winning with strategy or attacking teams properly and finding ways to beat teams and, in clever strategies. It was just Mika one-timer or Kreider deflection, or they were just doing dump and chase and scrambling around and eventually finding a way to put the puck in the net. But it just feels so much more strategic now. And I think the way that you broke down the power play was really solid, Colin, and explaining, the way that Trocheck has had these opportunities. But I do think that you have to give so much credit to Peter Laviolette for the way that he's constructed the power play, and he's put these guys in position to find this newfound success.
I'll say it's definitely Laviolette and the minds that he's brought in. All the assistant coaches have played a role. I mean, the penalty kill coach and the power play coach have both done a fantastic job. I wish I could remember who does what. I never can. But they've all been so good, and I just love what they've done with both units as a whole. I mean, the penalty kill has always been pretty good, not great. These last couple of seasons, obviously, it's taken big steps just because we've gotten guys who are more suited for those roles. But I mean, it's just night and day, and I think that I just think they're doing such a good job at creating these opportunities and constantly peppering the goalies. And you don't know how they're going to beat you, and I think that's it's just it's hard to explain like what it does to like the psyche of another team. They don't know how to game plan. Like it was, oh, just take away Zibanejad and they can't do it. And then it was, oh, tie up Kreider in front and then they can't do it. And yet the power play still managed to kind of chug along. But now, especially, they're just so multifaceted in the ways that they can get it done. And I think that's a huge reason for the success.
Yeah, and it's kind of like what we discussed the other day when we were talking about Gerard Gallant and that second line. Remember, the players said that they wanted to have the configuration that they have now, and Gallant didn't want to make a change. So we ended up not seeing that configuration. That's really taken the league by storm. That second line is, best line of hockey, I'd say. So I think that it kind of ties into that. You had one coach who just was very stuck in his ways, and the team became stuck in their way and got very one-dimensional and was not able to have the foresight to make an adjustment. Maybe it was a risk, but risks sometimes do pay off if they're calculated risks. But I think, again, with the way you broke it down, Colin, and the way that this team has made adjustments, maybe it was a risk to kind of move things around and get away from your bread and butter with the Mika one-timer on the power play. You could argue that that would be a little bit of a risk to move away from that strategy, but ultimately in the long run, it's paid off because they've become a more multifaceted team and have found more ways to attack their opponents and convert their power play opportunities.
And, that's exactly what the Rangers have needed. Look at last year against the Devils. They easily found out what the Rangers had going. They shut down the Mika one-timer. They shut down the Kreider tip. And right now we're playing in a way where Carolina has no idea what's coming. I know, Colin, you brought up before, it used to be a Kreider no-look pass to Mika. All of a sudden we're getting Mika no-look passes to Kreider. And no one has any idea of what's going on with the Rangers, and that's a good thing. We're, like you said, Tony, a multifaceted team, and we can score from any angle, any point of the ice. And it's a dangerous situation that we're putting on Carolina, and they're panicking right now by switching their goalie. So hopefully we're able to capitalize tonight and see what really happens, and hopefully take a commanding 3-0 series lead. If not, I'll cry. But yeah, I mean, we're approaching the hour, which means it is almost time to start to wrap things up. But before we do, we all need to go through. We need to give our score predictions for the night, and then we all need to combine and give a parlay. So I'll start with
William. In honor of Squilliam.
Oh yes, Will can't be here once again. Everyone hate on Will in the comments, but I'll start with my prediction.
He's got good reason not to be here though. He's at the game, which is pretty cool. So shout out to Will for being there.
Yeah.
He does have good reasons. Hopefully he'll record some incredible videos that we can post over on our social media accounts at Fireside Rangers.
Nice plug. And hopefully he'll give us some good luck over there.
Yeah. We need as many Rangers fans there as we can totally get. But
absolutely.
My score prediction, I think it's going to be closer because we're at home. I don't know how much we're on the road, but I don't know how much closer it can get than a 4-3 win. But I think it'll be the lesser scoring. I'm going to say 3-2 win in the first overtime. Overtime goals scored by Adam Fox.
And we're in his jersey. I have it at 3-1. I think it's going to come down to the wire. I think the Rangers are going to bury the empty netter this time. I do think it's going to be a low-scoring game. I think Kachekhov's capable of doing it, and I think if you look at teams specifically in the Rangers sense, when we put in our backup, a lot of times the team will play better in front of him. It was like anytime Henrik was in the net, they'd kind of let their foot off the gas just because they knew what he was capable of doing. And then they put in like a guy like Georgiev, and the defense would play lights out for no reason. And it's like, why can't you do that when Hank's in that? So, or any of the backups prior to that. But so I think that this will kind of wake up the bench as it's intended to do. I think that this is going to be a very defensive game. I think both teams are going to kind of get back to what it was. I think the Rangers will pull out the win. I think it's going to be significantly closer. I don't think it's going to go to overtime. But I think it's going to be 2-1 down the stretch, and I think that empty netter is going to be the one that kind of separates them a little bit.
Yeah, I think there's a good chance that this game goes one of two ways. Either the new goalie in for the Canes gets absolutely lit up, not ready for the primetime spotlight, and the Rangers pour on the goals. Or I think that it's going to take the Rangers by surprise because new goalie is going to step in, give the team a spark, and it's going to end up being low scoring. And they might struggle to score on this new goalie. And again, still not saying his name because I can't. And it might end up not going the way that we want it to. But I'm going to give my prediction of 5-3. I wanted to say 4-3, but I think there's going to be an empty netter like Colin does. So I'm going to go 5-3. I think the Rangers put up a nice amount of goals on the new goalie, and I'm feeling good. I'm feeling happy, and I think at least 2 of those goals are coming on the power play.
Yes, sir.
Well, let's never forget that game 2, Tony did correctly predict the final score. So hopefully that luck
Game one.
Was it game 1?
Yeah.
But it was also right for game 2. You really just doubled down on it because they were both 4-3 victories for the Rangers. And I wouldn't mind if it extended the 3rd straight game, just another 4-3 win for the Rangers. I wouldn't mind it at all. But here we go. We got to cook up a parlay for everyone to hit. We'll go with the 3-legger tonight.
I've got one. I already made one this morning if anybody wants. I'm 2 for 2. Through 2 games, I've made 2 bets. They both cashed. So
doing a real one.
We'll start with your real one, and then we'll get into the fireside bet.
Yeah, before we get into the silliness, follow fireside bets. But before we get into the silliness, I've got one. I got Panarin over 0.5 assists.
Okay.
Trocheck over 0.5 points, so 1 point for each of them, and over 5.5 total goals in the game. That's plus 250.
Is it? What is that
plus
on?
250. That's on. Well, we live in Florida, so we have the Hard Rock Casino Sportsbook app. It's different lines probably, but I think I put it in on FanDuel as well. It's definitely similar. So plus 250 there. And then the other one that I had, and this one I think is just awesome, at plus 260, I've got Rangers plus 1.5 and Vincent Trocheck to have a power play point at plus 260.
Oh, that's a good one right there. I like that.
I bet on power play points or assists like that on FanDuel. I don't know if it gets that specific. I got to take a look.
Yeah, I don't know.
I know I can bet
on. Is lit in Florida. You can bet on anything.
It sounds like it.
But all right, for the Will Cohen parlay, I'm gonna do the classic for my leg. Igor Shesterkin anytime goal scorer.
That's a cop out.
You know what? I take it back. Jonathan Quick, anytime goal scorer.
There you go. At least some ingenuity there. Some newness. Let's see. What do I want? I'll take a Rempe goal.
There we go.
I'll take the Trocheck hat trick.
There we go. So lock it in. Jonathan Quick, anytime goal scorer. Matt Rempe, anytime goal scorer. Vincent Trocheck, over 2.5 goals. There we go. That is your Fireside Rangers bet. But I'm about ready to wrap this thing up. We've been going for about an hour now, unless either of you have any final thoughts to share before we head into Game 3.
I'm all set to go. I got to get to where I'm going. Got to start the real drinking and then get my Uber ride home later.
All right, drop your comments below on what's the over 10 beers wherever Colin is going. I don't even know where you're going. Is it a bar?
It's my uncle's house and then the bar. But also just got a notice from Will here. He said Hedel is on the ice for warm-ups.
Yeah, I was just about to bring that up as well.
Oh, boy, this live stream might not be over yet. Let's rope back in.
Will also just sent a tweet from Vince, but I can't open it because I'm on my phone.
I got it. Let me open it up. It says Philip Hedel is taking warm-ups for NYR from Vince Mercoliano.
So there you go. It's something to keep an eye on here, as we could be seeing a switch for Rempe would be the most likely case. Good to see him out there, obviously. Love that he's playing again after a bunch of rumors are floating around that he might never play hockey again just due to the concussions. As we know, they can be killer in this league. So it's good to see him healthy and back out there skating again, especially in that non-contact jersey. Or in the contact jersey. I mean, he's ready to go. He's fully ready to go.
This is a game changer.
That's interesting.
This live stream just extended its lifespan for at least another 10 minutes.
Could be some more chess, man. Could be some more some more mental chess by Laviolette, just saying, "Hey, kid, go take some laps out there."
That's true. Because, like the lineup this morning, it didn't indicate anything that this would be happening.
I mean,
Morning Skate had Rempe in the lineup, so
I think this is going to be like a game time decision. Someone might be sick or something, maybe that like we just don't know about. I mean, like look at how Matt Rempe made his debut. He did warm up skates at the Stadium Series, wasn't expected to play, and then all of a sudden, last second, I forget if it was VC or Goudreau or someone, but they were too sick, and then Rempe was given the go ahead for his NHL debut, and then all of a sudden he just stuck around because of how cool he was. But,
yeah, I'm seeing the pictures of it right now. Filipino on the ice. Wow.
This is an interesting development. We've got breaking.
Well, I did say when we recorded the reaction to Game 2, you know, I felt like a change was coming. Just it wasn't even the fact that Rempe didn't play a lot in Game 2. It was more so the comments from Laviolette and the behavior of Jacob Trouba. Remember, that was my reasoning in that episode, that Trouba, and not just Trouba, I'm singling him out because his penalties have been pretty egregious, but the team has just been taking a lot of them and forcing their PK to kind of carry the series so far. It's been too risky to even put Rempe on the ice with everybody else committing so many penalties. So I'm thinking that the logic here is put somebody in who doesn't commit a bunch of dumb penalties. Therefore, if the rest of the team continues to commit dumb penalties, the problem doesn't compound by having Rempe on the ice. You get a little bit of a safer option. So I think there is a good chance we see Hedl tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we'll have to see, because Laviolette did make a couple of comments where he's like, I know that all eyes are on Rempe, like exactly what you're referencing, Tony. So I don't know. Like I hate to say it, the fact that like Rempe might not be playing, but it might be for the best. Chris, you're saying Hedl on ice for warm up. We're already talking about it. You're late.
Better late than never, though. We appreciate the heads up, keeping us all informed.
No, of course. There have been numerous times on this channel where we've been live and not on social media, and people have filled us in. Like the last live stream when we found out that Panarin was not nominated for the Hart. Someone said Panarin was snubbed, and I was like, snubbed for what? And I literally said, I was like, unless they release the Hart finalist within the last hour, he didn't get snubbed for anything.
58 ago, Panarin not named Hart finalist.
Yeah, and this is from Molly Walker of the New York Post. Matt Rempe is also on the ice for the Rangers warm-up, so we'll see line rushes shortly.
Is there anyone not on for warm-ups? Is
Blake Wheeler?
Well, yeah.
I don't think
at this point I wouldn't be shocked if he was. Like,
that there's talks about him coming back. I know you guys are totally against it, and most likely
I would love it. I would love Blake Wheeler to score the Stanley Cup winning goal.
I'm just hyped to have him back, though. I know the team really, really enjoys him, and just the presence that he brings. I know Mika was talking about it, and just how it's good to have him back in the room. So I mean, that just goes to show you, like, just what he brings to the team, not in terms of like scoring and whatnot, but just the energy and the charisma and obviously the chemistry that he brings with those guys. So it's like a brotherhood up in there. And he hasn't been there long, but he's clearly made his impression on the people who have. So I think that's a big thing.
Yeah. I would love to see Blake Wheeler return. We were his biggest haters throughout the season, but I'm ready for a redemption arc. This is the time. This is the year.
On the third or fourth line. Obviously, I don't know who would come out, but I think he would be good in that bottom six role.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so excited now. The game's in 24 minutes, and we got to stay on until we see, like, see what the lineup is.
So when do they do the alignment? I don't even know.
Also, Colin, your brother DM'd Fireside Rangers on Instagram. Everyone should be following it.
What do you say? Anything good?
I think I accidentally deleted it. Nope, still there. It was just a reel.
Nice.
Did everybody love the Vincent Trocheck highlight reel that I posted today on Fireside Rangers?
Did like that. I thought that was Eric. That was you?
Yeah, I edited that one. Eric posted it, though.
That was fire. I was actually going to text in the chat. You guys were already talking, so I was like, I'll just let him go. But I thought that was fire. It got me fired up.
Yeah,
Tony,
hype me up making it. What's that?
I know. I just said you absolutely cooked.
Thank you. Had to put on for my paisano.
I don't know. The Fireside Rangers socials are just off the charts. At the moment. And if you want to see some exclusive content that might not be featured here on the YouTube, you should definitely take 10 seconds to open up Instagram or open up Twitter or open up TikTok and hit that follow button.
All right, boys. It's Heedle.
You're kidding, really?
It's Heedle time?
Vince Mercoliano, New York Rangers warm-up rushes for Game 3. He had third line Heedle, Wenberg, Kako, and then Cooley, Goudreau, VC on the fourth line. Heedle is back is how he ended the tweet.
Wait. Wow. So who's out?
Rempe. Cooley down to the fourth line.
Oh, okay.
I like that.
Okay.
Cooley, Goudreau, and VC on the fourth. Heedle's up on the third on the left side.
Watching or no, this is not Rempe slander. I do enjoy Rempe. I think he brings a lot to this team, and I think the record shows it. Obviously, I think he's just very good. But I think in these circumstances, I think that it calls for a guy you could put out there and trust anytime after the second period. And I think that Rempe is not that guy, unfortunately.
All right, look, this is either going to be the best decision or the worst decision that Peter Laviolette has ever made. Now, Rob here in the chat says, "What a massive mistake." I'm willing to give Peter Laviolette the benefit of the doubt because let's look at the pros and the cons. One, Carolina's at home; they're going to come out absolutely flying, and Rempe takes a lot of penalties, even though they aren't penalties. And we're getting Filipino back. The only cons I see is that Filipino might be a little bit rusty. But I'm also happy that I never thought I would see him play again until October. So I am eager than ever to have the next 21 minutes go by and see my boy on the screen.
So now I got to change the parlay. I had Rempe. I guess I got to take Heedle.
All right,
for the Heedle anytime.
I'm here for that. Like, I'm excited for it. I think he's going to provide, like, that third line obviously has not been a scoring line. It's been really good defensively. I think he provides an offensive punch. I didn't know that this is how they were going to handle it. I thought Heedle was going to slide right in on the fourth line. I think he's comfortable on that third line, especially having that familiar face of Kako there. And I'm hoping that kind of lights up Kako, too, because he also has not been too hot offensively either. I think it'll provide that spark for that third line there, and then that fourth line gets the boost of Cooley, who is a better player than Rempe, in my opinion. For me, the one thing I'm still looking for, and you can call me crazy, I want one of the two of Gustafsson or Trouba out of the lineup. I do not want them in. I do not trust them. Gustafsson has been significantly better. I low-key, I don't want Trouba to play. I don't. I just don't think he's doing that well. I'd take Jones or Ruhwedel over Trouba.
I don't know.
That's
Jones maybe. I'm a big Zach Jones enjoyer.
Ruhwedel has so much playoff experience, and he's such a shutdown guy. I like him. I feel like he's super underrated, and Rangers fans don't talk about it enough. But Jones also is that guy as well. So I'd be cool with either of them just because I feel like both of them don't take stupid penalties, and Trouba's constantly, if he's not out there trying to kill somebody, he's in the penalty box. And, like, you just can't have that from your captain. Like, that's supposed to be – like, if he was, like, talking to shit but getting it done, I'd be here for it. He's not doing anything. He's not doing anything productive.
Yeah, I mean, I will say, Colin, you've angered some fans. EK here thinks that you're crazy. I'm not going to give my opinion on it, but I will say just because you're a good captain doesn't make you a good hockey player. Like –
Look at what happened with the Flyers. They scratched the captain. Sometimes you got to send a message. He hasn't been playing good. He needs to stop tripping people. He needs to stop taking stupid high-sticking penalties, cross-checking penalties, and he needs to play a clean, smart hockey game if he wants to stay. He already got demoted from the first line to the third line because he can't play defense. I don't think just because you have a C on your jersey makes you ineligible from being scratched. If you're not playing good hockey, you're not playing good hockey, and sometimes you got to take a seat in the press box. I think that's shown across multiple teams. It's not just the Rangers. I mean, I think And he even said it. He said, I'm not playing good. And he's continued to not play good.
Yeah.
I think that's something, obviously.
Yeah, there's also a couple of other comments that I need to bring up. Jason here says Rangers are 6-0. Do you think they should make any changes? Well, they have. Heedle's back. Kill Gill says Kako sitting and Heedle playing. I called it on Tuesday night. Well, your call was wrong because Kako is Kako. You were that close. Kako is playing, but so is Heedle. It's Matt Rempe taken out of the equation here. Logan, Heedle is playing true or false. It's 100% true. We just reacted to it live. Andrew says the issue is naming him captain. I don't think so. I think he's a great captain. He just has moments where he's a little bit silly. He tried to murder someone last game. Let's just not do that tonight, and we should be A-okay. But yeah.
Yeah, if he takes that hit and takes that penalty and the suspension and we lose that game, I think it's a completely different conversation. I don't think anybody's talking about him playing tonight. I don't know. I'm not the biggest Trouba fan. I like what he does for the captaincy. I think he's a good captain. I will say that. I think what he does for the locker room is fantastic. I think he'll still hang out in the locker room in between periods. But I don't want him on the bench, personally. I just don't think he brings, as a defenseman, what a defenseman should bring. And I don't think it's doing him any favors next to him either.
Yeah, honestly, I don't really know. But I know we covered the Heedle thing quite well, I think. Is there any final thoughts while I post the Heedle update to the Fireside Rangers social media accounts that everyone watching should be following?
Heedle's sliding in on the third line, Logan. Logan just asked because he's late. So sliding in on the third line, left side.
Yeah, weird to see him going to the left. I guess he has to because Kako's the right. I really thought he was going to slide in on the right of the fourth. So I kind of like that move, keeping him on that third line. Like he could still kind of have that creative freedom to do what he wants. And he has two really good defensive forwards next to him. And he has been known to be a Caniac killer. He was lights out the last couple of games that he played against the Canes in the playoffs. So, he can build off that and continue his Kane killer lore.
I agree. But I guess that about wraps up this discussion, previewing Game 3 of the New York Rangers versus the Carolina Hurricanes. Philip Heedle is officially back in action. Should be an incredible game, no matter what happens, regardless the final score. Just the fact that Philip Heedle is even going to play is a win for me. So hopefully the scoreboard reflects the same outcome, but we'll see exactly what happens. But until then, we'll be keeping you updated on all of our social media platforms at Fireside Rangers on Instagram, X, and TikTok for all the updates and the news throughout the game. As far as this channel goes here on YouTube, you guys better make sure that you like, subscribe, and ring that bell so you don't miss notification. If you end up watching us on Apple or Spotify at some point, give us a 5-star review because we're not doing that for the live stream. And lastly, use this video as like your personal forum throughout the game. Leave your thoughts down in the comment section, even after the live chat ends. We love to read your thoughts throughout the game amongst each other and all that.
We do go back. We do go back and read them, so make sure that you leave some your love down below, your thoughts, everything that you got, because we do go back and we I know I personally do. I read everything that you guys put, just because I love the discourse, I love the talking points and all of it. So please go back and whatever your thoughts on the game are, leave them down below.
You heard the man. Do it. But that about wraps up again our discussion. So hopefully we'll have a happy video tomorrow. No matter what, it's going to be happy because Heedle played. But fingers crossed. To everyone that tuned in, once again, thank you for watching. Have a good one. And
let's go Rangers. That was early.
Let's go Rangers.